Imagine that your classroom is like a car. And if that were true, the seat belts would be like classroom rules, but the engine would be like the community or the culture of the classroom. Rules are extraordinarily important, and they're like seat belts because seat belts keep things safe, they prevent disasters, and they keep everything in order. But the truth of the matter is that nobody gets excited about taking a ride in a car because of the seat belts. The thing that makes the car ride enjoyable is the engine. And if you're going to have a classroom that thrives and that goes forward, then it's going to take more than rules. You're going to have some engines that drive your classroom. And today, I want to talk to you about 3 of those engines. So come along and let's talk about them. So the first engine that we need in our classroom is the engine of stability. Predictability is probably the most powerful thing that you and I can build in our classroom. I remember several years I did a study on chronic absenteeism and chronic tardy. And the number one thing that I learned is the reason behind absenteeism and tardy in a chronic nature is the fact that parents at home did not have a routine. They didn't have a routine for their kids when they came home. They didn't have a bedtime routine, and they didn't have a get up out of the bed routine. As a result, the entire family flew by the seat of their pants. And so no wonder they couldn't accomplish little simple tasks because they didn't know the order. They didn't know what things they were supposed to do. And so as much as our kids kick against routines when they come to school, because they obviously don't have routines at home, many of them, they really do want routines, and they crave routines because routines create structure. It's predictable. It's the same thing every single day. When our kids come to class and they know how it starts, how it flows, and how it ends, it creates stability. Stability reduces anxiety, I can't get my words out. A reduction in anxiety creates the opportunity for learning. And that is exactly what we want. Now, both you and I, we know something about routine because we get up every single day and we do the same thing over and over. However, if you let one little thing get out of whack right there, it has the ability to train wreck our entire day. When I go to school, I need exactly 3 things with me. Number 1, I need my phone. Number 2, I got to have some coffee. And number 3, I have to have my keys. However, whenever I got up the other day, everything got completely out of whack. And the first thing that happened is I went to go get my coffee and there wasn't any cream. And I don't drink black coffee. And so that ticked me off. Number 2, I couldn't find my phone. And the reason why is because I didn't put it where I'll always put it. So I had to tear the house apart and look for my phone. So I jump out and I get in the car and I run off to school. And guess what I don't have? I don't have my keys. And so needless to say, my entire day was train wrecked. I mean, I couldn't emotionally regulate for that. And so, that's like a food for thought for you right there, that whenever our students who grow up with no routines come to school and then they don't have routines or things get out of whack for them, it's very difficult for them to emotionally regulate. So when we set routines and we hold to those routines and we teach students how to go through the day, we create an atmosphere and an engine that'll run the classroom eventually all by itself. And that is a good thing. The second engine that we want to create in our classroom is the engine of ownership, or better put, the student voice. When students have a voice in our class, they become more than just passengers. They become more than just passive observers. They become part of the crew, or better yet, they become the community. And that's exactly what we're trying to develop, is a community. Giving the student voice has never been more important than it is right now, because we're dealing with a Gen Alpha group of kids, and they are a totally different specimen. They're nothing like whenever I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. These are independent thinkers. They're independent deciders. And in many ways, they think that they are co-equals with the adults around them. Now, you and I, we know that's not true. And that's part of the battle that we're having in the classroom. But one way that we can mitigate that is to give them a feeling of power. And a feeling of power is the idea that, hey, they have a say, even if it's a guided say by you and I. So if we haven't met yet, my name is John, and if this helps you in any way think differently about your classroom or differently about teaching, why don't you go ahead and subscribe and follow along with us and keep up with us, and go down into the description box and find all of our free resources. They're free, they're 100% free, and they're always free. Plus, you can join our community down there, and guess what? It's free, 100% free, and it's always free, and we want to invite you to be a part of that. The third engine that we need in our classroom is the engine of momentum, or what I like to call celebration. If we want our car to go down the road, you got to put gas in it. And if we don't put gas in our car, it's going to be sitting on the side of the road and we're going to be walking. The same thing applies to our classroom. If you want to kickstart and ignite your classroom, add the fuel of celebration to it. Far too often what happens is we spend a lot of time celebrating students that make good grades, and for good reason, because they deserve to be celebrated. But what about the student that's always going to be the C- or the D+ student that struggles to even meet the standard or barely meet the standard? That student needs to be celebrated too. And in that case, we need to learn to celebrate the small wins, the little victories that take place in the classroom, because that sets the classroom on fire. That is an ignition spark, because what it says to the student is that progress, not perfection, is what really matters. And that is a big deal. So one of the things that we like to talk about here at Teacher Talk is that we're a faith-forward organization, and we're reminded that the proverb says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. Literally, with our words and with our actions, we have the ability to build up or to tear down. When we take these three engines and we begin to implement them into our classroom, not only are we building up our classroom, but more importantly, we're building up students and creating an atmosphere for success. And the reason why I say that we've built an atmosphere of success is because we're not running on the fear of compliance or not complying. Rather, we're moving on the energy of belonging and purpose. And that is a big deal to our kids today. So just wanted to take a moment and point out that nothing I said today has anything to do with academics, except it has everything to do with academics. But it's not pedagogy, and it's not curriculum, and it's not content. It's all about connection. Because at the end of the day, it's you, the teacher, that makes the difference. It's not the content. It's not the lesson plan. It's not your pedagogy. It's you and how we create or how we connect to our students and the culture that we're able to create in our classroom. Now, teachers, I have no idea where you're at on this journey, because teaching is tough, and it's always been tough, and it's always going to be tough. And that's why Teacher Talk exists, because we want to encourage you. And if we've been able to meet that goal, we want to invite you to go down into the description box. I want you to find all of our free resources, and we want you to have them because they're specifically made for you and for teachers. So jump down there and get them. Also, you can join our community there. It's free. It's 100% free and always free. And by the way, it looks to me like YouTube wants you to do one of three things: subscribe right here and watch one of these two videos. And remember, stay strong and keep teaching.